How long until we get a design that says something like, when this creature enters the battlefield, put a token copy of the spell Shock into your hand? Well, not that freaking long.
Unique Magic the Gathering effects that exist only on Magic the Gathering Arena, and the video starts right now.
Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below.
Hello and welcome to The Day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joel. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel are Magic. We are going to talk about it, everybody. So many have asked our opinions on this. It's not hugely what we cover. We normally talk about MTG Finance and Commander, but this is a big deal, so we're going to talk about it. But before we jump into it, if you would, hit that like button if you like the video. By the end of it, hit that dislike button if you don't.
It's the best way to support the channel with just the click of a button. We have some really fun stuff to talk about today. If you are a fan of the channel, head on over to Patreon to get involved on a deeper level. There are monthly giveaways. We're going to send you a signed card. You will get your name in every video and much more. Joel, let's talk about some pretty crazy news.
So we are over here on the announcement page for Jumpstart Historic Horizons, the latest thing that has sent a shockwave through the MTG community. We've had lots of people reach out on the Discord, ask in other comments of other videos, what do y'all think of Jumpstart Historic Horizons? So this is the vid. Real quick, if you're not familiar, this is going to be an arena-only set that's adding hundreds of cards from Modern Horizons 2, and 31 new to Magic cards into Arena, straight into Arena only. Now, what they're doing with this release is expanding what they can do with Arena as a format. I know Arena is a platform, Historic is the format that they're targeting here, but I've always said since the beginning of digital with Arena, not digital play, you've got MTGO, but with Arena play, let's build for the platform. They're doing that through three main keywords, Jake, here. Seek, which is tutors that just go grab the card out of your deck. You don't have to shuffle. It just fits criteria. They go and seek it. Perpetually, which is basically like a counter, but they don't have to put counters on cards in MTG Arena anymore. It's just, it alters the characteristics of a card and that's it. And then Conjure, which pulls up a card out of thin air. That's what our intro was just a few weeks ago, it feels like. I was talking about, and you know, with Garth One Eye, how long, Jake, until it's put a copy of Shock in your hand, put a copy of Doomblade in your hand? Well, not freaking long.
Yeah, we're here, we're doing it. You know, you said earlier, you know, the community, we typically respond to news like a tea set in a hurricane, right? We're just like, oh God, this is the end of the world. But honestly, it's really not that bad. This should remind you, for newer players or players that haven't played it before, this should remind you a little bit of Hearthstone. Hearthstone has a lot of mechanics very much like this. The fact that Seek just grabs a card out of your deck and the game keeps moving. You're not going in to grab anything particular. It's just kind of random. And then also Conjure is very much like, I haven't played a lot of Hearthstone. It's been years since I've played it, but I did play it a lot when I did, and this immediately reminded me of that. But also I want to add this because everybody should remember Duels of the Planeswalkers, which was an Xbox and PlayStation game. I think it came out on a couple other things. It was its own contained format as well. It existed on console. Rarities were different as far as the quantity of cards that you could run in your deck in that. I believe that rares you could only run 2 ofs, uncommons you could run 3 ofs, in commons you could run 4 ofs, mythics you could only run 1 of in the deck. So very different way of playing Magic the Gathering, just like Arena is a very different way of playing Magic the Gathering, and likely will become even more different as time passes.
Absolutely. When Jake and I were sort of going through what our opinions of this were so that we could encapsulate everything in one video, it came down to this for me, y'all. We have cards being specifically designed for Commander. Cards that say if you control a commander, do this with your command zone, etc. That stuff doesn't apply to any other format. They've always designed ways to play this game, different formats that all had their own set of rules and legalities. This isn't that different. I think it's just new and it's a little scary. And honestly, these cards not popping up in paper may mess with some people's hopes that, you know, they can go and play Historic in paper. Obviously, at this point, we're seeing there's not going to be Historic paper tournament support at the highest level with Wizards unless they do end up printing some of these cards. But with some of these designs, Jake, I just don't see how that's possible.
Joel, let's go ahead and talk about the one drop that everybody's freaking out about and why they're freaking out about it.
Shoreline Scout. It's got a reserve list card on it, Jake. Whenever it ETBs, you can exile a merfolk card or a land card from your hand, and if you do, conjure, there's that word, a tropical island card into your hand. So, Jake, when I suggested that maybe we would start getting token copies of Shock into our hand, I didn't ever consider, maybe dual lands.
Right. So I don't know why anybody would be any more upset about this than they would about old One Eye who brings the Black Lotus.
Garth.
Especially when we know that the Merfolk archetype normally on MTG Arena, it's a blue-green deck. It's a Simic deck. So it makes sense that there's this card that just goes and grabs a trop for you, right? Just a 1/1 for 1. Yeah, I mean, I don't really see what's to freak out about.
I love that they're pushing Historic into this very quick, very sort of entrance barriered format. I don't want any format to be entrance barriered. That I just want to say as the ground level for this. But from Wizards' perspective, looking at it from the company side, it does make sense to have a certain amount of investment required for a deck that won't rotate, for a deck that's always going to be playable. Once you do acquire your Merfolk deck with Shoreline Scout in it, once you've got it made, you can always just go onto Arena and play it. Period.
That is the most attractive thing about Historic, and that's why formats like Modern, Legacy are attractive to people. It's why so many cards have gained eternal value because of Commander and EDH. It takes a lot for a card to get banned. I mean, in EDH, like Hull Breacher, for example. I know that we're talking about Historic in this video, but it is interesting that Tropical Island is getting a pseudo reprint, although it isn't really a reprint. It's just getting a digital conjured image of itself.
Yeah, and Jake, and that's a good point. I want to go back a little bit before we move on to the other most controversial card. With Shoreline Scout, this even says more to me that there's not really plans for Historic to ever be a paper-supported tournament game.
I think
type.
This would be the nail in the coffin on that is not going to happen.
Exactly. I mean, they're not going to make a reprinted Tropical Island, period. Then, I guess you could say, it's a token island. It just doesn't make sense. I don't see them ever doing that. It would
cause so much upheaval, and there's so many budget ways to play against needing those cards. I mean, it's just, it's an interesting change to Historic, and I can see how people would be put off to mechanics that very much are derivative of Hearthstone and other, similar games.
For sure, but Hearthstone's the leader. My friends. Why not borrow from a game that has not only led the digital TCG space? I'm not going to argue that Magic is one of the top, if not the top TCGs in paper, but with Hearthstone, why not borrow from the competition? That just sounds smart. Whatever they're doing right, go ahead and take it. While you're at it, go ahead and borrow their economic system. I would rather have the economy of Hearthstone and being able to dust cards that I do not want or care about into cards that I do want or care about more than Arena's economy. But that's a whole different video. But take from the best, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I do think it's the kind of thing where it could, let's just say this, Conjure, if it's leading to a lot of games where somebody's just getting their out from this randomness,
it'll get
then
banned.
Maybe they will rein it back. But again, because it exists on Arena, they can tweak things. You know, they could, in theory, change the text of cards. They could make an instant that's maybe overpowered into a sorcery on Arena, and you could have a card that exists in a different essence than what it is on paper, you know. So it's very interesting, and this does open a lot of doors.
Yeah, I will say with the whole variance argument, variance is built into this game. The very first thing that you do at the start of any turn is draw a card. And that is variance. That is randomness. I mean, look at it from the perspective of you have an emblem that says at the beginning of each of your turns, draw the top card of your deck. You know, and this is after you had to shuffle it at the beginning of the... I just don't understand this whole, like, randomness is the antithesis of MTG. Discarding cards at random, having random effects, you know, random creatures die because of a spell. That is part of the game. Tome of the Infinite, Jake, I've got it up here in the middle here. This is one of the most, I think, controversial cards, and really what kind of spun up the whirling dervish of this conversation is conjure a random card from Tome of the Infinite spellbook into your hand. You may spend mana as though any mana of any color to cast this spell. You know, it's... I don't understand. If this list is huge, then it's not going to be playable enough to get a card that you want all the time. And
it's easily one of my favorite cards that I have ever read.
Right. I mean, it's like, I think it's a really fun one. You know that my Arena desires for them to just have Commander one day. I would love to play Tome of the Infinite in my Arena Commander deck. I think that would be so fun. But I don't think I am on the same page at all with a lot of people about how they don't like this decision, man. This is another one that's highly controversial, Jake, Davriel Soul Broker. But it also, while being controversial, shows how cool they can get with the designs, shows how wide some of this design space opens them up to give us new Magic cards. And at the end of the day, don't we just want new Magic cards? You can play these cards on Arena because it fits the format. Whenever you're thinking about creativity, the format, the rules, that is the guiding, that is the creativity. And so why not do this kind of stuff on Arena? -2, Davriel Soul Broker. -2, accept one of Davriel's offers, then accept one of Davriel's conditions. So here are the offers here. If you can read these, draw 3 cards or conjure this card into your hand, or you get an emblem with spells you cast cost less. Creatures you control get +2. That's an emblem. It's crazy, but you have to accept one of his conditions. You lose 6 life. You get an emblem with spells you cast cost more. You get an emblem with whenever you draw, exile the top 2 cards of your library. This sounds so fun to me.
Well, it's a lot of dude. It's honestly, it's a lot of versatility, right? It's just so much to keep up with that you couldn't effectively do it in paper Magic
at all.
So it really does need to be looked at like a different format altogether. Kind of like almost like an expanded format in a lot of ways, like
and that's okay.
Mutated format.
Right.
No, I think so. I think so as well. Because you know what this reminds me of, and I think we should pull this card up while we're talking about it. But could we look up Urza Academy Headmaster?
Absolutely, Jake. This is one of the cards that I used when people were talking about this in the Discord. I was like, well, I mean, they've been hinting at it. We had learned to sort of get us into the mindset of things could be entering the game from places we don't normally expect. Wizards does a really good job of walking us up to things. I mean, look at variants over the last 3 years. I think Urza is a great example of that, Jake.
Yeah, this was one of those cards where you can see here, I mean, without going to askurza.com,
I want to see if it's still around.
Really, I would imagine they would need to. If they didn't, this would be
there we
a
go.
Complete fail.
Until your next turn, whenever a creature deals combat damage to Urza, destroy it.
That's a no mercy.
Right, exactly. Urza deals 4 damage to any target. You gain 4 life. That's Lightning Helix +1. Yep. I mean, this is create a 4/4 gold dragon creature token with flying. I know it's a silver bordered card, and some of this stuff starts to seem like silver bordered in the fact that that's been the only place they've used it in the design space in the past. Sure. But I really think it's fun, Jake. Conjure a Kraken
I think it's
hatchling.
fun too, and it's funny because, you know, a little behind the scenes, but we just made a video about fun EDH cards, and so this really does fit into again, something that they can totally rein back. Everybody should know that Wizards of the Coast can always add and take away. If any of this ends up being game breaking, it will just end up being modified. Maybe certain effects will be changed or deleted altogether.
Right.
But once we start seeing MTG Arena again, dude, I wish that they made it more accessible. I wish I could buy the exact cards that I wanted. There's a lot of critiques that I could give for MTG Arena, but not much that I can give for this altogether. There's not really many negatives that I see in it other than, oh, well, MTG Arena is just so fun that it made me want to stop playing Paper Magic. And I don't think that's going to be reality here.
No, I think that you make an excellent point, though, Jake, and this is something that can't be overlooked. They don't need to ban any of these cards. These are arena-only created cards. They can just make accept one of Davriel's offers, then accept two of Davriel's conditions. They can make this -3, accept one of Davriel's offers, then accept one of Davriel's conditions.
Sure.
They can errata these cards at will. They don't have to ban any of them. That's not necessary when you're in the design space. Again, it's like Hearthstone. Hearthstone never had to ban cards. They just made them cost more or cost less or hit stronger or whatever they wanted, whatever they thought was the most best way to balance it. Jake, that's such a good point. That's such a good point.
What I would not do, though, I would not change cards that exist in paper form.
No. Like, only the arena cards.
Right, of course. But like the arena only stuff, I think it's fine, because if you're if you're committed to not printing it in paper, which again, you would need. Like, seriously, in a paper game of Magic, you don't want people to be looking through like a list of stuff to do. I mean, the game is already stalled up enough with like shuffling, other shenanigans. We don't need people looking through 100 different items, going to askurza.com. But if it all exists on the platform, easy to just click through. If Conjure's just going to grab me a spell, I don't need to search. It's not going to slow the game down. Again, I here at Jake and Joel Magic, we always like to tell you exactly how we feel from the gut.
Yep.
My gut instinct is telling me there's nothing to freak out about here.
No, the other power word and it's cool. That's the big thing. It's cool and it's fun. The world is not ending. The sky is not falling. This is just cool, fun stuff that they can do because they are in a new arena of play. Hey,
yes,
a new arena of play.
Dude,
that was unintentional.
Card is awesome.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. When you look at this card, you go, oh, dope, I want to play this card. And it's easy to parse. The word perpetually is not this foreign word to us. I just wanted to highlight this card because this was the other word in use, perpetual. It just is perpetual. We don't have to worry about counters. We don't have to worry about
like the way that you would think
stuff.
about that card, right? Is that card is essentially an enchantment with flash.
Right.
That you're trying to flash in to give it zero, but now instead it's just an instant that you're targeting something, and in the game they're just going to change the power to 0. It's going to be easy peasy,
and you don't have any of that sticking a card behind the thing and you got to like dig down and see what the enchantment says. This is the use of Seek, Jake. If you have no land cards in your hand, you pay this 3 mana sorcery, seek a land card and a non-land card. Otherwise, seek 2 non-land cards. Now, the way I'm reading this ability, Seek, it says, powerful tutors grab a random card from your deck that matches specific criteria. No shuffling, no time spent looking at options. Just grabs the card that works out of your deck and the game keeps moving. I mean, this is randomness in action, but it's still, I mean, honestly, this is a more playable version of divination in my mind. So they're making playable cards. Oh no, the world is ending. They're making playable cards. That's the worst.
Right. No, I think that this is fun. I think it's interesting. I would like to see how it plays. Part of me thinks that you can figure out a way to break this. I think there might be something here. But yeah, it seems like an interesting set, and I'm interested in trying this out and just seeing what it's all about.
Personally, I just wanted to touch on this one. I know it's just a common, but enters the battlefield, seek a creature card of the most prevalent creature type in your library. That sounds really fun to me. As a 3-cost common creature enters the battlefield, you get that creature type out of your hand. I mean, out of your library into your hand.
And then you have a 2/1 that you can block with.
Right. So I don't know if we're giving you the answer that you wanted to hear, but we are giving you the honest answer to the question, what's our opinion of this? I think it's a good thing and a fun thing. and there's no reason to panic over this because it's not that different from historical MTG. It's just another reworking of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, it's not that different from Garth One Eye. I mean, honestly, if people aren't going to freak out about that, it says the words Black Lotus on it. Oh my God.
Right. This one is all about a conversation, so please let us know what you think down in the comments below. We'd love to talk to you about this there. We'll see where this ends up. We've got a couple more days of previews of this. We just wanted to get our official reaction to this down in a video because a bunch of people had asked what we thought. So here it is. Jake, other than that, I'm tapped out.
That's it. We've talked about this new arena thing, and I know that there are 100 sets that are coming out next month that we need to get prepped for, and it is going to be nuts. So we got to end the video for now.
Catch you later.